everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Luke Birch now. Today's video is going to be one of my favourite types of videos to watch, my favourite types of videos to film, and your favourite types of videos to request. So it's a Q&A, of course. I've made myself a little cup of tea in my Oxford mug. I've got my college jumper on. I'm in Oxford, and today's Q&A is going to be about uni. I go to uni in Oxford. You guys already know this, I'm pretty sure by now. But this is going to be a kind of like half Oxford, half uni in general Q&A, because I realised that you can kind of like find out a lot of stuff throughout my vlogs and stuff, but I've never really sat down and been like, ooh, what about this? What about that? Like specifically. So this video is kind of just about uni life in general, and I have wanted to do a sit down chatty video for ages. I feel like recently I've been doing a lot of like vlogs and stuff, and these are my favourite sorts of videos to do. I still don't have my voice back, which is why I sound slightly hoarse, but that is completely self-inflicted, so do not feel sorry for me whatsoever. You probably didn't feel sorry for me anyway, but don't feel sorry for me. Okay, so first question is, do you have friends outside your year, and does age, gap years, etc. affect friendships? I actually have quite a lot of friends outside of my year group, so I was just really lucky in that like my YouTube kind of meant that when I got here I had like a conversation hook, and I'd been speaking to a couple of second years at the time and third years, and I kind of knew of them, and then when I got here we ended up just being really good friends, especially when I helped as an interview runner. Most of the people that were helping as interview runners were in the years above me, so I am really lucky in that I have friends in all year groups, and I've also made friends with some of the freshers, so now I have friends in first year and third year and fourth year, which for me is so necessary because I obviously go on my year abroad next year, and a lot of my friends in my year are going to be gone when I get back. But I think in general it's just really nice to have friends in other year groups. A, for a bit of perspective. B, just because it means that you can kind of, you have other groups to go to, and when you're feeling stressed and perhaps, you know, like not suffocated by your year group, but when you just want to talk to people that are not involved in the drama or not involved in your immediate circle, then it's really nice to have friends in other year groups. I don't think that gap years particularly affect friendships. A lot of my friends in my year are a year older than me because they took a gap year, and of course like there's some difference in maturity levels, but also I know people younger than me that are really mature, people older than me that are honestly like the most immature people I've ever met. I know people younger than me that are also the most immature people that I've ever met, so I feel like there's just not really, like that's a really hard one to answer because that would require, like it's making it too general, but I would really recommend making friends outside of your year group because that is the best thing you can do. Olga asks, how do you make friends? I've been at uni for a month and there are people I talk to, but I don't know if they're my friends. Making friends at uni can be so difficult because obviously you're living in accommodation, so you have people within your immediate vicinity, but it's all about, you know, putting yourself out there, and it can feel just like there are so many people around you, but you just don't know who to be friends with. I remember literally being in my room in Freshers Week being like, I am so overwhelmed and I don't know how these are going to turn into friendships, and now I literally have the closest knit circle of really amazing friends around me that this time last year, if you'd have told me that it would be like this, would not have believed you. So on the topic of making friends, this video is actually in collaboration with Bumble. So I don't know if you guys have heard of Bumble, but if you haven't heard of it, it's basically an app that is designed to make making friends and starting new relationships at university so much easier, quicker, faster, accessible, you name it. Obviously, uni has got such a big workload, and you often find yourself in the library and like working, or you're busy, and having an app where you can connect with people in your city and in your university is such a good way of making new friends, especially because you obviously will meet people in your halls, but like it's so nice to be able to meet people outside of hall if you're not in a collegiate setting like Oxford. It can be really difficult to meet people in other accommodation blocks, and you could have someone in the block next to you who's like an amazing person and would be a really good friend or a really good boyfriend or girlfriend, and you just would never meet them if you didn't have an app where you could literally connect with people. Dating at university and making friends at university can feel so difficult because you just don't know where to turn, and I know that it's a really nice idea to think, oh, I'm just gonna meet the love of my life like walking down the street. Like in our day and age we have so many tools at our fingertips to like make that process quicker, easier, and to expand our friendship circles without the stress. People might already seem really settled into their friendship groups, but Bumble is a great app because everybody on there wants to make friends or wants to start relationships, and you can use it for both. You can use it to make new friends and find new relationships, and that way you're not worried about breaking into established groups or whatever, and you can just be yourself. I know that sometimes it can feel like, oh my gosh, dating apps, like there are so many people on dating apps, like I'm gonna become another person in the pack. Thankfully, Bumble has a spotlight feature where you can put yourself, without other people knowing, at the top of their feeds so that you stand out without even having to try, and then from there your profile can do the rest of the work. There's also a super swipe feature, so you can swipe to show that you're very, very interested, like confidently interested in a person, and that's another way of making yourself stand out on the app. And there are so many opportunities on there to meet new people, to click with people that you wouldn't have otherwise met. Honestly, I cannot recommend Bumble enough if you're at university. It is such a good way to hack the system. If you want to download Bumble and you want to find out more information, then I will leave all of the links that you need down below. But seriously, if you're struggling with making friendships, Bumble is the app for you. It's just such a good concept, and I'm so excited to be working with them on this video. Okay, Poppy asks, top tips for managing workload and social life. Obviously, that is one of the hardest parts of uni, and last year I really struggled with this, and I ended up just getting so down because I felt like I either wasn't socialising enough or I wasn't working enough. My tip for this would be to always just look at your week in advance. So what I do is I'm like, okay, it's second week, and for example this week I was busy on Wednesday evening, and the YouTube girls actually came up Thursday evening to today on Saturday. So I was like, well, Wednesday evening is a write-off, Thursday evening, all of Friday and all of Saturday morning is a write-off. So I knew that those were like designated times for like social activities, which meant that on Monday and Tuesday I worked in the evenings rather than socialising, because I knew I was socialising later in the week. And I also made sure I got all of my work done on Thursday rather than just chilling, so that I could enjoy Thursday evening and Friday. And now all I have left to do is an essay, and I gave myself all of Saturday afternoon and all of Sunday and all of Monday morning to do that essay. So you can balance it, but you just have to look in advance, because I think when it starts to trip you up is when spontaneous plans and stuff like really start to overtake your life. I'm not saying don't do spontaneous plans, like that happened to me quite a few times this week, where somebody would just come in your room for a chat and then they'd be here for like an hour and a half. That does happen, but just try and roughly plan your week so you know that what evenings you're going to stay in and work, what evenings you're going to go out and socialise, what your classes schedule's like, just basically, yeah, you know what I mean. Nora asks, are you happy that you're at Oxford and not at Edinburgh? So Edinburgh was actually my insurance choice, if you guys didn't know that. And this is a really hard one to answer, and one that I don't really think I can answer, because I am really happy here at Oxford. Like, even though first year was... it was a time, but that wasn't because of Oxford. Like, Oxford was always like the best bit about the bad time, if that makes sense. And I love it here. I love the course. I really like the people, I love my college, like I just really, really like it here, and I couldn't really imagine myself anywhere else. But that being said, had I not got into Oxford, I also think I would have loved Edinburgh. I've got friends at university in Edinburgh and it looks so lovely, the city is gorgeous, I really like the course, the facilities are incredible. So I feel like I would have been, I wouldn't be able to say, oh, I would have been happy at Edinburgh, because I don't know, but I think I would have been. But obviously I will never know because I don't go to Edinburgh. So what is the biggest difference between second and first year? Okay, so this is a really difficult one, again, to answer generally, but a lot of people are like, yeah, the second year workload is like so much more, and like it's such a big step up. For me personally, I know it's only second week, but touch wood, first thought over my back, you know, it's actually not that bad. So the workload this term for me is 1 essay a week. Last year I had an essay and a half a week, and I obviously still have all of my translation, grammar class stuff to do as well. But for me, I've kind of found that because prelims was like so intense, and I kind of panicked and like tried to scramble to like catch up and understand that the skills that I learned last year are making this year way quicker. Like, I can read more selectively, I can write essays more quickly, I know how to reference, I can do translations quicker, my grammar's stronger because I spent a lot of the summer abroad. Obviously it's still challenging and it's still difficult, but I think for me, because second year has no exams at the end of it and I have a year off after this to like go and do something else, and my finals are not till 2022, like there's not this sense of pressure, which is the first time in my life that I've not felt that sense of pressure, because usually I will be thinking, oh yeah, I need to know this at the end of the year for exams, whereas this year it's very much just like doing the essays and seeing what you enjoy. Because for us, we do like have to pick our papers this year, but we do so many essays. So we do 4 topics this term, 4 topics next term, so that's 8 topics for one of the papers, but then in the actual exam, in my finals, I only have to write on 3 of them. So this year's more about just like doing a bit of everything and seeing what over my year abroad I'm going to read more into and what I'm actually going to revise and what I'm going to learn. So that's why I'm really enjoying it, because I feel like I can write my essays just to write the essay and like to genuinely research, rather than writing the essay thinking I need to know everything about this text. I can just write about the certain aspect of the text without having to read really widely. But obviously, that being said, I'm sure the workload will increase for me next term, because I don't have that many lectures this term, and I know that next term I probably am going to have 12 tutes and lectures, and it's going to be like, but for this term, yeah. I would say in general though, the biggest difference between first and second year is just I feel so much more comfortable in Oxford. Like, not that I didn't feel comfortable last year, but there's just a certain sense of like, you know, like I'm here, nothing bad has happened. Well, nothing really bad has happened. Like, yeah, I'm just feeling really relaxed compared to last year for now, touch wood. I really am scared that I'm going to jinx it. Are there many clubs in Oxford? How often do you go out clubbing? So in Oxford there are, okay, there's Bridge, there's Park End, there's Fever, there's the Bullingdon, there's the O2, there's Circus, and I've missed one, Emporium. Circus and Emporium I'm not counting because they're just awful. So Bridge, Park End, Fever, the O2 and the Bully. So that's like 5. Personally for me, my favourite is the Bullingdon when they do like special events. Like we went to a Fleetwood Mac night and they're doing a Hawk Mess, which is like a drag night, which is always incredible. I would say I go out on average once a week. Last year I did go out twice, a couple of times, but I soon found that that was just like not sustainable and really not good for my mental health. Now I tend to go out, yeah, once a week. So next week we're going to Hawk Mess. The week after I'm going to like a reggaeton night. And I tend now to like go less to just a general club night, and I tend to go to like theme nights and things because the novelty definitely wears off. I feel like in first year you're literally like, woo, let's go clubbing, and then you kind of realise that you'd much rather just sit in the college bar and have a pint and then go to bed. But yeah, I do like clubbing, but maybe like once a week, and I generally tend to go out on Wednesday or Thursday night because I have no contact hours on Thursday and I have 1 lecture on a Friday, so fabulous. Georgina says, do you go to all of your lectures? No, I mean I didn't go. I didn't go to my lecture yesterday, to be honest with you. In first year, like generally, unless I was ill or it was a 9 AM and I'd been out clubbing, I did go to most of them because last year they were directly applicable to like what we're studying. This year's a bit different because this year, like, they are useful, of course, but there are some that are more like peripheral, that are not necessary, and no one's checking to see if you're going to lectures. That being said, I will always go to a lecture if I think it's useful. I'm gonna go, but the pressure's not really on to go to them, and a lot of it's so independent study based that you can probably find the information out yourself anyway. Tea is just the most elite of all beverages. Like, I'm sorry, like I do like coffee and all, but tea, it just wins. It just wins. Oh, this is a really good question. Did you find high school or university more bitchy and gossipy? Well, so I went to a girls' school, so you would imagine that a girls' school is like really bitchy, and to be honest, people did talk about each other a lot, and like that was kind of the main topic of conversation, would be talking about drama or like what's going on. I literally came to uni and I was like, oh my god, it is so much worse here. I don't know if it's because it's like a collegiate environment, so obviously we all live in college and there's no like student housing. Well, you can live out, but like most people just stay in college, and there's like 300 of us here, and like if someone sleeps with someone or someone does something or there's drama or there's beef or there's gossip, like it will just get around college so quickly. It's never hostile, like people are not horrible, like, but if there's information to be known, like everybody in college will know it real friggin' fast. There's not a lot of privacy here. You really can't do things on the down low, and I'm not here saying that I don't gossip too, because I do, and I really think at Oxford especially the gossip culture is like quite a lot. I'd be really interested to know actually what gossip culture is like at all the universities. Like, is it gossipy? Because Oxford, I think, is one of the gossipiest places I've ever been. I don't know if it's because we all have so much work, so we're just trying to entertain ourselves, but yeah, let me know in the comments. Ian asks, do corridors only have one gender in them, or are they mixed? So I actually was on a one gender corridor last year, and I did actually pick that option. I didn't pick that option because I didn't want to live with guys. I picked that option because I found out that the corridor that I stayed on a summer school when I came here was a single sex corridor, so I ticked single sex in the hope that they would put me on a single sex corridor, and they did, and I got the room that I wanted. So I kind of hacked the system a little bit there, but yeah, you can choose to live in a single sex corridor here if you want to, but there's no pressure to do either way. And I think the same goes for a lot of universities too. I've definitely just knocked that. Great. What is your go-to meal at uni? Right, well, I honestly really don't cook that often. I either go to hall, or I'll cook some like pasta, or I'll order something, or I'll be out, so I'll just grab something from town, like from Pret or something. But I would say for me, my go-to meal is a pie, like a steak pie, although the vegetarian steak pie is so good, with some chips and some mushy peas, which is actually like such a West Midlands meal, but I absolutely love it. It's like my guilty pleasure. Vera asks, is it hard to maintain friendships because of the workload? I don't think so. So basically, obviously, every single uni, there's a lot of work to be done, right? And I think in the first term, yeah, it is hard, because you feel like if you go to the library and you're like locked in the library, you're obviously not going to be socialising and making friends. But I feel like once those initial links are established, everybody understands that like we have work to do. So like Sanika, for example, had an essay crisis this week. I did not see Sanika for like 4 days, but we're going to go watch Strictly tonight. It will be exactly the same, as if nothing's changed. I'm not there like, Sanika, you don't even care about me as like a friend. Like, oh my god, like I can't, like what, you know what I mean? Like everyone just knows that they've got stuff to do, and I think at this big age, like everyone's just mature enough to know that everyone's got their own lives, and that friendships do not need to be like constant communication. Like we can be friends without that, you know. How many contact hours do you have per week roughly? Well, okay, so I'm only gonna be able to give you like a rough estimate, because mine changes so much term to term, because like now I'm doing my finals, like it's kind of like I have some terms where I have a lot more than others, depending on when the lecture series are, because they only run like once in the 2 years that I have my finals. So some of them will be in 4th year, some of them will be this year. But roughly, I have, think about 13 to 15 contact hours a week, if I've not just totally made that up. Let me check. Okay, so this year I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 13 contact hours in odd weeks, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours in even weeks. So yeah, about 12.5 hours a week. Last year I had 14 to 15, maybe even 16. This year I have slightly less, but that is just because at the moment my timetable is pretty sparse. You can't really see, but no, that's not gonna load. Yeah, my timetable's not that busy, but I know that next term it will be quite busy, so yeah. We have more contact hours than a lot of the humanities students. Some of the humanities students literally have like 2 contact hours a week, but their essays are obviously like a lot longer. But we don't have as many contact hours as the medics and the scientists, so we kind of sit at an awkward middle point where the humanities don't really claim us and the scientists don't really claim us, and we're just like, yeah, okay, cool. Ooh, this is a really good question. Paulina asks, what is the worst thing you experienced at uni? See, this is a really hard one to answer, because I feel like nothing that I experienced in first year was specific to like uni. I think not necessarily things happening, it was more that things would happen, and in the university context, in the Oxford bubble, it was so much harder to deal with things that were happening than it would have been had I not been at uni. So I don't think particularly anything at uni has happened to me that has been like horrendous, but things have happened to me personally, not linked with uni, that because I was at uni, it was just like I couldn't take like a few days to just sort of process, and then you just feel like you don't really deal with stuff, and then because you'll just keep going, eventually obviously things are just shit's gonna hit the fan. Yeah, so nothing really bad happened to me in terms of like actual university life last year. Like it was more like me personally with stuff going on with me. You guys have seen that video. Yeah, so nothing, yeah, you know what I mean. Does that make sense? I feel like it doesn't really make sense, but okay. Emma asks, how come you're in halls for second year? That is a good question, Emma. So obviously most universities, you generally tend to live in halls for first year and then you move out and you get a house. That's what Lydia's doing and that's what most people I know, I think Jack did that too. Basically, because Oxford is collegiate and Oxford like has 30 separate colleges, most colleges, not all, have enough accommodation on site or they have annexes of accommodation in other places in Oxford so that we don't need to buy a house. The option is there to move into a house. Like, you can absolutely live out, and at LMH if you do a 4-year degree that doesn't have a year abroad, you have to live out for one of those years. But I personally really like living in halls. I really like how social it is. I like how I'm catered. It gives me more time to do my work and to socialise. And whilst I think having a house is really cool and like it's really nice, I don't know who I would have lived with because I have quite a big circle of friends and then it would have just caused arguments. And also I like being where my classes are and just having a community around all the time, getting to mingle with the first years more. Yeah, I think there are definitely lots of benefits to staying in halls, but obviously I understand that it's not for everybody, so that's why I'm in halls. Ooh, how do you handle everything so smoothly without having breakdowns? I really do not want any of you to think that that is me, because it's not. I last year did not handle anything smoothly at all. To be quite honest with you, my management of my life last year was pretty appalling. My priorities were pretty off and I just generally was a bit of a mess, and it came out fine in the end. Like, I'm fine, but I had many a breakdown. In fact, I was having breakdowns on the daily by the end of term. I do not want to go back to that period of my life where literally somebody could genuinely have like given me the wrong fork and I would have just sobbed. That was literally where I was at by the end of term. Don't think I don't have breakdowns just because you don't see me having them. I do have them. This is going to come a bit more into my like 2019 recap video in December. I am going to talk about it a bit more, but yeah, I do not handle things smoothly, and please do not think that there are any university students out there that can handle everything smoothly, because nobody can. Because balancing your work, your social life, relationships or lack thereof, what else? Eating, sleeping, going to the gym, existing, your mental health, your physical health, it's just not possible. Like, it's just not. So, yeah. Molly asks, how easy is it to keep in touch with friends from back home? You're glowing, girl. Thank you. It is, okay, so basically I find that with uni, when you go to uni, you realise who your true friends from back home are. Not because you fall out or anything, but just because during term, I do not speak to my friends from home. I don't speak to my friends from school who have gone to different unis. We all go to uni and we like live our uni lives, and then in the vacations we meet up, we have a catch up, and it's like nothing has changed. We don't need to talk every day. We're still just as close. We still really enjoy each other's company, but we're just mature enough to know that it's really hard to like keep that balance up. So when I'm in Oxford, I'm with my Oxford friends, and obviously I talk to my family and stuff, and like we talk occasionally, but generally we just live our lives at uni, and then when we come back, that's when we meet up. So yeah, that answered that question. I feel like it didn't, but yeah. What is the relationship scene like in Oxford, or is it just sex? Thanks. Right, well, this is actually one that is a really difficult one to answer too, because again, it depends on your personal experience. I would say personally that, in my opinion, there is a very big hookup culture in Oxford. Like, I don't know if it's because of the workload or just because people just don't have a lot of time. Being in a long-term relationship is very much abnormal compared to like hookups or like short-term casual dating. I'm not, obviously I can't speak for everyone, and I'm not speaking for myself here. Like, this isn't what I'm doing. Like, that's none of, I said I wasn't going to talk about what my love life is like, but like generally in Oxford, I would say that the percentage of people that want a long-term committed relationship is very much in like the minority, because people just don't have the time, clearly. But yeah, hookup culture here is very big, very big. If you look at Oxlove or Oxverse, you will see that. Yeah. The last question I'm going to answer, because there are so many good ones, I think I might have to do a part 2 of this. Give this a thumbs up if you want a part 2, by the way. Is, do you ever feel lonely? No, actually, not at uni. Uni can feel really lonely sometimes, I think, just because you're so surrounded by people, but if you're having a rubbish time, like, there's no way to kind of remedy that. I did feel really lonely sorry, my battery died, so I feel like this has moved, but it's nearly the end of the video anyway, so that's fine. I did feel really, really lonely at some points in final term because obviously everybody was revising. I was spending a lot of the time in my room by myself, and I was going through a really, really tough time with my mental health, and I just felt awful all the time. And because I wasn't socialising as much as I had done in previous terms, it was a bit daunting, but I wasn't actually lonely. Like, there were so many people there for me to help me, and me feeling lonely wasn't because of the uni, it was more because of my own mental health and circumstances that I haven't really spoken about on this channel, but like, yeah, that was why I felt lonely. So no, I haven't particularly felt lonely, I think. There were so many more questions, but my voice is literally killing me. I really need to go and take a throat lozenge, so I'm gonna end this video here. But if you did enjoy this and you want a second part, then be sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any questions. I'm sure that the community, we can all help each other out and answer each other's questions. And yeah, I'll see you very soon with a new video, and be sure to check out Bumble. Bye guys. Mwah.